For Parramatta fans, the stats alone buffeted their team. The Eels hadn't beaten Brisbane in Sydney for 12 years. And then there was Webke, who was finally given the all-clear.
Plenty of discussion in the 90 minutes heading up the kick-off over the arm guard.
The Eels' headache started early. Dimmick and Nathan Kalis collided in a tackle, leaving the captain dazed.
Problems there.
And when Lockyer forced a mistake close to Parramatta's line, Brisbane didn't waste the opportunity.
Lockyer's going there. Lockyer's there.
Tallis then left his stamp on the game. A solo run, beating 5 defenders in his rampage to the line.
Tallis is in.
Tallis was having one of those games.
Oh.
And this was as close as the Eels got in a one-sided first 40.
He must go close. No.
With their season on the line, Parramatta struck first after the break. And Tchaikovsky's sideline effort reduced the lead to 6.
Has he got the lead yet?
Brisbane looked back in control when Berrigan was carried over. But the video ref ruled the Bronco replacement had been held up.
Well, I'm bloated, I know how they got that.
Refusing to lie down, Parramatta edged to within 2 points when Moody snuck through. But in his last season with Brisbane, Big Brad Thorne finally settled this contest.
Brad Thorne has scored for Brisbane.
Thankfully, I was a bit lucky today to get through, but I'm very happy now, and I know the boys inside will be very happy as well.
Clinton Fletcher, National 9 News.
The appeal for game-shy Roosters fans to turn up worked, but heart sank when things didn't go their way.
It's no try.
There was also the Andrew Johns factor.
He gets the ball away for Hughes.
The same man muscled his way over for a 4-pointer,
Did he drop the ball?
then guided Gidley and Albert to the line for a 16-2 half-time lead.
And Albert is in.
But it was off the menu following some dressing room inspiration from Brad Fittler.
He was sensational at half-time.
What turned to mud in the first 40 all of a sudden came up diamonds.
Phillips is over.
And the player with the most sparkle also delivered a body blow when Andrew Johns delivered Fittler the perfect pass.
Try.
In the space of 4 minutes, the Roosters ran in 3 soul-destroying tries.
McDougall to beat. Here comes Ryan.
Couldn't believe the passage of play that came when they scored their tries. Just astonishing game, really.
There was also the try-saving tackle by Phillips on Rudder.
And he clobbered him.
And Fittler's genius couldn't be leg-roped. A superlative pass gave his teammates the centimetres they needed.
Pounds it in. Hegarty.
Another night's try wasn't enough. And to make matters worse, Johns knocked on with the Roosters outnumbered.
The last throw of the dice for the Newcastle.
The little general continued to shred himself after full time, while the retiring Tony Butterfield hurt more than he ever imagined.
Nothing could ease the pain.
As for the Roosters, they were feeling none.
It's a wonderful moment for the team.
Within 12 hours of tearing his hamstring, Ricketson had begun his specialised treatment. In a desperate attempt to be fit for his first grand final, Ricketson enters a hyperbaric chamber twice a day, and on top of extensive physiotherapy, he'll stick rigidly to the program all week.
I was limping pretty badly Saturday night. Today I'm walking quite freely, so I expect by Wednesday or even Thursday to be jogging or even running.
Ian Rubin was another Rooster hurt in the come-from-behind win against Newcastle. It was feared the big Russian had fractured a cheekbone after an accidental whack from one of his teammates. But Rubin can't wait for Sunday.
Just a bit of numbness in the left side, the teeth and the nose and around the cheekbone, but other than that, I'm fine.
For Brisbane today, all eyes were again on Shane Webke, who made a comeback from a broken arm against Parramatta yesterday. Webke's arm guard was cleared by league officials just before kick-off, and despite appearing distressed throughout the 80 minutes, he says his only problem was match fitness.
Wear everything on my face, so when I'm tired, it looks like I'm hurting. But I think that was part of the problem yesterday. I was pretty buggered, but it wasn't in so much pain.
The Roosters say Parramatta didn't target the arm. They won't be so lenient.
Sure, if anyone's not 100%, you've got to sort of look over him, and Shane's arm ain't 100%, I'm sure.
Clinton Fletcher, National 9 News. In one of the most important and busiest weeks of a footballer's career, the Roosters have adopted a steady-as-she-goes approach. There's no extra training planned or any special visits to sports psychologists. And despite not having played in a grand final for 20 years, the Roosters are trying to keep everything under control.
I don't feel nervous, I don't feel overexcited, I just feel like it's another game of footy, but it's a special one.
The people of Sydney's eastern suburbs are just starting to show their true colours, and by Thursday they should be blooming. Both clubs announced their grand final squads today, with Brisbane's injury concerns now switching from Shane Webke to Tony Carroll, who injured his knee against Parramatta last weekend. But the Broncos have strike power in almost every position, and Gordon Tallis is amongst the best. His try against the Eels was typical raging bull. Unlike most players, Tallis loves performing at Stadium Australia.
The ground's open, it's big, and hopefully there might be 30,000 breaking for Brisbane.
An out-of-town team and a club with one of the smallest supporter bases in the competition had league officials concerned about ticket sales for the grand final. But so far, almost 80,000 seats have been snapped up. Clinton Fletcher, National 9 News.
The Roosters had first run of the stadium, all flu-ridden and injured players given a full workout, including Luke Ricketson. After warming up his injured hamstring, the back rower consulted coach Graham Murray before training with teammates. He'll face a final fitness test tomorrow. In the heart of Roosters territory, first signs of sledging between fanatical Roosters and Bronco fans.
Always Brisbane Broncos. Roosters, see you at KFC.
Grand final fever may be finally hitting the eastern suburbs, but at a Legends lunch, most were tipping the out-of-towners.
I think Brisbane.
I just can't go past the Broncos. Oh, I've got to go for Brisbane.
In a bid to get fans to go to the game, last night the Roosters ran a membership rally, 5,000 filling Bondi Junction Mall. So far, more than 80,000 tickets have been sold. 6 years ago, Sydney fullback Luke Phillips was a ticket holder at the Canberra-Canterbury Grand Final. He didn't even play rugby league.
I just said to one of my mates, I said, geez, you know, imagine what it'd be like running out there in front of a packed house in a grand final.
Phillips will be out there this Sunday after this tackle against Newcastle, credited with putting Sydney in the grand final.
That is the tackle of the season.
The 27-year-old convinced a similar moment will win the premiership.
With a few lucky breaks, maybe a few kicks through or something like that, we'll score some points.
Andrew McKinlay, National 9 News.
As Ricketson's chances improved by the hour, the Roosters stalwart was finally given the all-clear after a series of drills today. For almost a week, every method of treatment has been applied, and Ricketson's sex symbol status has long had him comfortable with inquisitive eyes. Few are tipping the Roosters to make the leap from so-called chokers to champions. Much depends on Fittler and the England-bound Lamb.
Everyone's wrapped, everyone's excited, mate, and you know, this is it. This is my last game, so excited about that too.
For the gifted Cross family, 20-year-old Ryan is as laid back as they come. Mimi the mutt has helped keep things as normal as possible this week, and the quickest rooster in the team can't wait for game day.
I just can't wait for that moment when I walk out in the field, the crowd's just going crazy. It's going to be great.
For centre partner Shannon Hegarty, a big part of the job will be to shadow Fittler.
He's the bloke to be around, you know. If he says something, you do it.
Brisbane also completed its build-up with a light run this morning, but once again, coach Wayne Bennett has delayed naming his 17-man squad until tomorrow. The Broncos are aiming for grand final number 5, and Kevin Walters' pending retirement has added to their resolve.
And the club's going to miss him because he is the funny man, and you know, it's been a pleasure playing with him over the last 5 years, and I'm certainly going to miss not having him around.
And a crowd of about 90,000 is expected for the decider. Clinton Fletcher, National 9 News. While most footballers don't even get the chance to play in a grand final, for the Roosters' Craig Fitzgibbon, Sunday's game is an opportunity to correct last year's wrongs. Fitzgibbon was a member of the St George Illawarra team, hot favourites for the title, beaten by Melbourne in a boil-over.
It's going to happen to someone this weekend. Hopefully it's not us. We're going to go out there and do everything we can to make sure it's not.
This year Fitzgibbon will run out for the underdogs, the same position his dad was in 31 years ago. Alan Fitzgibbon was a young outside centre for Balmain in the 1969 Grand Final against Souths. And as with his son's team this weekend, very few gave the Tigers a chance back then.
Pittard covered by the non-stop Walsh and Fitzgibbon.
Balmain went on to beat a team full of internationals 11-2, and Fitzgibbon Sr. believes the Roosters can repeat history more than 3 decades later.
Deep down we had that inner feeling that we were in with a strong chance. We had nothing to lose, but we're a heap of young guys just come together with a couple of old heads, and that's probably very similar to what the Roosters have got in their combination at the moment.
Yeah, he's been a positive influence for me, and you know, he just goes about his business.
Ron Coote was in the South's losing side. The former Rabbitoh and Rooster star believes his old team can win it this year.
They'll score their tries, but I just think that defence is going to be the big thing for us. Yeah.
Clinton Fletcher, National 9 News.
Feeding time at the Grand Final breakfast. The captains held back for a get-together before making their entrance. The Broncos leading the way as they've done all season. The Roosters were as smart as the type of football they're capable of playing. Despite the appearance of special guest Steve Waugh, the breakfast is a chore for most and not about fun.
I look like I'm having fun.
No, Wayne, but he never does. Although the laconic coach did admit it is a special time of the year.
Worthwhile part of the season, you want to be here. Don't want to be in this room, but I want to be here.
Shane Webke was questioned about that broken arm, which will be targeted by the Roosters.
I've got plenty of mates out there, mate. I'll be all right.
And so will Wendell Saylor if the Roosters see him as a weakness.
Anything they throw at me, I think I can eat it up.
Both teams have had comprehensive victories over each other this year, and so it prickled the Roosters when Newcastle's Warren Ryan predicted the Broncos would win by 30 points.
Well, it's normally someone you've beaten the week before, so that's been the case this again.
Well aware of what they face in the brute power of the Broncos, Coach Murray has his own triple treat of strike power in Fittler, Lamb and Fletcher.
I know as a coach against those three, you're very nervous when they've got the ball in their hands because there's that skill factor.
As for the injured Luke Ricketson,
I'm hoping that at least by Friday I'll have a fair idea what I'm doing.
Stadium Australia was a lonely silhouette this morning. In a dawn delayed by daylight saving, ground staff were up at Sparrows, dressing the field without a Rooster fan in sight. At a grand final breakfast, the Prime Minister was predicting a bright future for the league.
I look forward to rugby league going from strength to strength.
His forecast for the game, a Broncos win.
Go the Roosters!
By midday at Homebush, Roosters fans were in the majority.
20 years we've been waiting.
Rooster fashions might have left something to be desired, but you couldn't fault the loyalty of fans.
Roosters are hot to go! H-O-T-T-O-G-O! Hot to go!
Broncos supporters, while thin on the ground, compensated with supreme confidence.
Even if we lose, we'll still be arrogant.
Brisbane players could be forgiven for arrogance, arriving undefeated in 4 grand final appearances. The Sydney Roosters on a roll and revelling in the mantle of underdogs. They came for the league, but there was more than a hint of what to expect come the Olympics. Cabaret singer David Campbell playing the biggest room of his life.
The Grand Final is underway.
When the two dominant teams of the competition finally got down to business, it was the Roosters who missed the Grand Final's first try-scoring opportunity.
He's over the line, but...
Thorne was then try-bound, with Phillips the last line of defence.
Beautiful tackle.
And Brisbane looked certain of a 4-pointer until the last pass was ruled forward.
No try.
When Singh was monstered by Thorne, it forced a Roosters knock-on. From the ensuing scrum, the season decider had its opening try.
Lockyer inside the Dakiri.
The Roosters were missing too many one-on-one tackles. If not for their fullback, the scoreline could have been frightening.
Oh, another try saver.
As half-time approached, Singh found a rare opening in Brisbane's defence. It gave the Roosters some much-needed momentum and their first points after a penalty in front.
The first points of the day for the Sydney Roosters.
Ahead 10-2 at the break, Brisbane lost Aiken to a late shoulder charge from Bonetti.
Absolutely, it was late.
Aiken was eventually cleared to return to the action, where the big hits continued, and Phillips' heroics were again in overdrive.
Well, he's done it again, Phillips.
It's a miracle, man.
As the clock counted down, lack of possession told for the Roosters, with Saylor crashing over. But then, in the final 10, Fitzgibbon gave his team a glimmer of hope.
He's over the line, Fitzgibbon!
Fitzgibbon's conversion attempt hit the crossbar, but the Roosters were finishing strongly, and Saylor's gamble surely saved another try.
Sailors away!
And that was the end of the show. In a Wembley-style presentation, all the players received their medals amongst the fans, and for Kevin Walters, the ultimate prize on retirement.
Thanks very much. See you. I won't see you all next year.
Clinton Fletcher, National 9 News.
Brisbane's second victory since the competition was reunited confirmed the club's strength in the game.
We've got to have a go, and we're not going to lose it because we're the best team all year. The Roosters come out in the second half, wanted to throw it around, but we just kept on turning up, and that's the best thing about this team, mate. We just never give in.
Now unbeaten in 5 grand finals since 1992, including 1 Super League, the Broncos continue to set the standards. Fullback Darren Lockyer was awarded the Clive Churchill Medal, while for Brad Thorne, Tony Carroll, Michael Hancock and Kevin Walters, this was their last gallop with the Broncos.
And there's a lot of improvement in their side, I must say, so next year's a different year for them, but let's enjoy the moment.
There were tears on both sides as Sydney's bold bid to upset Brisbane came up short.
Not let Brisbane get to a league, so just keep that power game going, and fell off a couple of tackles and made a few mistakes, got a bit frustrated.
In Brisbane, the celebrations have already begun. Penrith and the Bulldogs produced an entertaining entree to decide the First Division title.
Straight past Silva, Atkinson!
The Panthers overturned a 10-0 deficit to lead 20-10 before the Bulldogs fought back with 4 late tries.
For Saylor!
The 30-26 victory made it a double for the Canterbury club after also winning the Jersey Flegg 22-8 against Wests. Charles Christian, National 9 News.
The most precious passenger on the Broncos bus did well to escape with just a few scratches last night. It was one heck of a party. Kevin Walters was lucky not to add to his bumps and bruises. For Walters, his 6th and last premiership title was clearly as special as his first, even if it did cost him a shoe. Newcastle and Brisbane have the highest representation of all the NRL clubs in our World Cup squad announced today. In the 10 backs, 2 Broncos were selected, Darren Lockyer and Wendell Saylor, with the Dragons' Trent Barrett also getting his chance in elite company. In the 12 forwards, Brisbane has Gordon Tallis and Shane Webke, and coach Chris Anderson believes there's only one surprise in the entire squad.
Jason Kroger probably hasn't been in represented sides for a little while, but he's a quality player.
Adding to his options, Anderson says he has plenty of utility players to call on. And then there's the halfback battle between Brett Camorley and Andrew Johns. Camorley is the incumbent, but Newcastle's finals charge has helped Johns.
Probably at this stage, you'd be saying that Johns is a fraction in front with what happened towards the end of the season.
The squad leaves for England in October. Clinton Fletcher, National 9 News.